Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. So, going ahead, it's April, year 89. Yeah, I believe that's where we're at. And we are going to go ahead and get ourselves planted. So, I'm going to go ahead and get my seeder, my large one. Although, you know, just because I like challenges, I'm going to go ahead and pull out. And I think the fact that I've got the crampy sitting over by the pigs, because we had that little bit of potatoes left the last time, was good. So speaking of, yeah, I need to get them fed again before we run into a problem where I run out, and their slurry's also full. And one more month and we've got pigs to move. Alright, so I've got soybeans selected for the seed type, and we're full because, if you recall, last time we tried to do anything, we ran into a bit of a problem in that this tractor being there is not going to help, but I think we're okay here. Just have to be careful. We might drag it a bit, hopefully not. But I was getting ready to plant. I was going to go ahead and do canola, I think it was. And then suddenly was told, no, you can't plant it right now. And I almost headed north again. We're going to the south end. I mean, again, there'd be nothing wrong with doing the north, but if I'm trying to alternate the fields and kind of have a 6-crop or 6-year span, sorry, just trying to set my GPS, but if I'm trying to have that longer span, I need to then obviously alternate my fields. Otherwise, just in 3, like you would if I had one field, then I'd be having that issue. So, still unfolding. Obviously a very large implement. Lots of tubes and so forth, feeding seeds and fertilizer and everything to where it needs to go. But we'll lower down. Did it lower? No. This is where I always have, because I don't have the back part picked. I had the seed tender picked, which is what I needed. Just double checking that I have soybeans, because you can never be too careful. And then we're going to go ahead here and we're going to plant. So, a couple things I've learned, which is potentially going to make today incredibly busy. Someone made a comment on one of my older videos for Shellbrook here on Misty Hills, when I was doing weeding the last time, that there's actually a negative 15% yield hit if you spray weeds after they appear, that you really should spray right after planting. But that's similar, obviously, to what we need to do with rolling as well, because we can't roll once plants appear, while we can spray. But what that turns into is then the cycle is plant and then spray and roll at some point that same day. So that makes for a lot of jobs on the day, because otherwise that first day you're potentially at the point where you're getting weeds. It's possible the first day there aren't any, But I don't know that that's true. I think there's at least little ones if they're going to be there. So, and obviously if I can get more yield, I'm all for that. So, let me see here. I always forget if I don't pick up the... Okay, yeah, it's not... I mean, I know it won't plant, but I just wasn't sure if it would kind of scrape the field in some way, because I think that's the roller behind me that has done that. So, but that's a piece of information I did not know. I don't know that I've seen that anywhere, but they said they've worked with it a lot to try to figure out the best way to get yield, and they did make a comment, you know, about in FSN, so it sounds like they're another participant player here in the FSN community, so they've got the specific experience of doing exactly what I'm doing as well. So certainly carries a lot of weight with me that way, and unless it doesn't keep the weeds down at all, if somehow it's like, oh, you've sprayed too early, but I can't imagine. As long as I spray once I've planted, I'm sure the sequence of events still will make it work, because they're like, yeah, in addition to obviously improving your yield, you also won't get weeds because you've sprayed for them very early. I'm worried here. No, I guess I didn't. I was just worried I was suddenly going to be too far over and not get every segment planted and have to go touch things up, which, as any of you who have watched me do work with this know, this is a big implement to be playing with and trying to position on the field appropriately. Alright, so I'm going to turn on my lines, go do my normal show my dots, because I'd rather do that. And then I have the challenge of figuring out exactly how I want to go, because we're going to get a little bit of duplication, but that's alright. But yeah, I think I'm going to go across here, just because that will probably be the most efficient. Alright, so that should get me there, just not sure. Yeah, I'm not out far enough to get the planter straightened out. I'm gonna have a segment I miss, so I need to go a little further, which is also dangerous in the way this all works, but I'm hoping it won't be too bad here. And then if I straighten out from here, I don't know that that's significantly different than what I did. It's better. How about that? Alright. So, it's close. I don't know that it's close enough. I'm thinking I'm still going to have a little bit. So, I may need to go kind of run that little bit of headland there, because I think that's really the only way that's going to work. So I think when I come back, I'll probably have to touch a little bit up, and then I'll just finish those edges, because they're just getting closer and closer to the edge of the river, which means I'd have to go deeper and deeper into the water to make the turn. It's making me wonder if I've ever planted here with this planter, but I'm sure I did. I mean, at a minimum, I'm sure I did the soybeans when I was... Although, yeah, it might have been sorghum up here, but regardless, like I think soybeans, sorghum, and potatoes is what I had done when I had thirded this field out. Alright, so we're getting to the point where we're overplanting, so I'm just going to want to be careful because fertilizer continues to get used. Alright, So at this point we're good. We'll just head on down here. And then we'll turn around and head back. And so we'll get a bit of a partial planting environment here as well. But, I went way too far. Because, yeah, I've got to do a relatively sharp turn here just because of how things line up to go straight across the field versus the field edge not being straight across. So, get going there. And then we're planting, and then we'll have full rows after that, so we won't be over fertilizing areas. So yeah, that same person also, because I'm assuming that was a video that I was making comments about, we're waiting for precision farming. I'm not sure what we're waiting on or what the bug is. They made a comment that basically you were unable to sell a field that you had used precision farming on and then have it work properly after that. And since in FSN, people will be selling fields and then buying fields. That's just the nature of it, as FMs come and go, or sometimes even while we're here, someone decides, you know, I'm going to get rid of that field and I want to use this one over here instead. So I can see that would be a significant bug, but I'm also hopeful that the person who's kind of doing the review of stuff in FSN, who is pretty well versed in things about FS and in general, certainly precision farming. I mean, they're the ones that made the call and said, hey, we've got bugs that really don't make it usable. We've got to wait for them to be fixed. You know, they said we're good to go, so I'm assuming that means they have looked at whatever Giants had done and seen that that was resolved. So, yeah, as I figured, there's a little bit there I've got to touch up. So, and you can see already, you know, I'm pretty well in there on my tractor, just barely coming off the field. So trying to turn around and line up for the next one would be pretty challenging. And the last thing I want to do is swamp my equipment, and then I think we have to like reset it back to the shop, and it's got tons of repair it needs and so forth. So we'll come around, we'll give ourselves a bit of working room here. Oops, I turned it off too fast. I thought I did. Let's see. Alright. Too much, too many buttons, too quick, trying to be efficient, but then probably causing myself more challenges. Alright, so let's see, I'll do this. That gets me there. And now at this point, obviously, I've got a little bit of room. So I still would have to go into the river, but my hope is, you know, just like the end of the field, I'm not turning incredibly far. And if I do something like this, you know, where it kind of rotates back in, I'm making a motion with my hand. Do you see it? Anyway, foolish me, obviously. I can't talk with my hands on a YouTube video where you're not seeing me. So, no, don't get excited, those of you who are like, is he going to go on camera at some point? No, I really don't have desire to be on camera. Not my thing. It's not a video series, or it's not a channel about me. It's about gameplay. So, other than those who are curious who I am, whatever, you know, what I look like, there's zero purpose or zero value of having me on camera. It just increases complexity. Anyway, short answer is no. So don't read anything into the comment of, you know, I can't talk with my hands unless you see me, because that doesn't mean I'm suddenly rethinking that setup. So, but no, it just, if you turn at a sharper angle like that, instead of the planter kind of gently swinging into position, following the arc of the seed tender in front of it, because you've kind of already gone past the center line, you're making a sharper turn, and it's almost pivoting. I mean, it's not, because it's still moving forward a bit. Obviously, we're pulling, but it's a lot closer to like a zero-turn mower, where it's just kind of spinning around a circle at that point. And if nothing else, it just does that more so attacking the row that way than it does not getting to the center line and then gradually coming in. So that is what I meant by, you know, if I go here versus having been on the other side of the line, you know, you'll see now my angle will be coming back, and then that back end, see how it's, I mean, the wheels are moving, yes, but the left side there is just kind of pivoting into place. It's not actually moving forward at that point. Now it is. But that gets me to the position where I can much more easily then be aligned with the row. And so I think I have enough room on this end that I'm heading toward by the river to now do that without getting too much into the water. And so I should have averted my issue. I am both excited and having trepidation about the fact that for the first time in a while I'm doing this whole field, because really, and it has been a while this time, it's not just like a mental trick that my brain is playing on me, because I planted that field up north twice in sequence. So then, you know, I missed 2 whole years, you know, so it's been like 3 years since I've been down here, and actually even longer than that, because I planted the field with 3 crops here at that point. Then I had been up north, then I had come back, so it's really been like 5 years since I have planted this field, at least, with a full crop. And so the trepidation comes along with what I started talking about in the episode, which is I have to do 3 jobs on this field today, preferably. And the spraying isn't that substantial. You know, that moves along pretty quickly. It's got a really big working width, and I think we can go 11 or 12 miles an hour like we are with this. So it works well in that regard. You know, it might take us 30 minutes to an hour. It's not going to be anything terribly long, but you know, so now you can see we didn't go very far into the river. I swing this way, and I think I'll be in a good spot. Yeah, I almost went too far, but I think it'll all work out. It's just kind of the physics of how this maneuvers. It just works out. So I think we're good at this point. Obviously, you can see how things are consuming. I think just with the size of my fields, it's almost impossible at this point to not have to refill things. So I'm sure I'm going to need seed. I'm likely going to need fertilizer as well. I think, you know, I always need both, but we'll kind of get through things, and we'll give you an update, and then we'll see how it all works on the editing room floor. If I combine the rollers, if I just decide to have a few short episodes, because I certainly owe some people that who follow along with this and not just pack things in and create hour-long episodes all the time. Because there's probably a very small group of you that watches that whole time. But I definitely need to roll because, I don't know if you saw that pile of stones go, but, we've definitely got rocks on the field and we want to press those down. I have been keeping a loose eye on things long ago. If you've been with me since the beginning and, if you've watched everything, because who knows when I make comments in videos. I had talked about wondering if all I'm doing to remove rocks is rolling. Eventually, do I keep getting more and more stones coming up? Because if we think about it in reality, what would be happening is I'm not removing those stones. I'm not picking them with my rock picker. I'm simply shoving them back into the soil. Logic would have it. So you can see I didn't go across the center line as much, and now I'm pivoting in to position here, and it's not going to be as clean. I'm hoping I don't have a problem on the other end. It looks a little straighter, but yeah, I didn't do a good job of making that turn. But it's just shoving it down, and then in theory, however rocks appear, because I've always marveled at that. I mean, kind of like, I think I know I've shared with you guys as well that I watch the Millennial Farmers videos. I just enjoy his content, and they're always picking rocks, and I'm just like, you would think at some point you've picked all the rocks that are present in a field, but like they just keep getting spewed up from the bowels of the earth or something. So I don't know if it's just like a never-ending conveyor, and if that's the case, I'd shove these rocks down, new ones would continue to keep resurfacing, and that, in theory, then they all come to the same level, and then they all come up when I'm plowing at the same time. So in theory, the volume of rocks would increase, I think. So I think ultimately we would get to some tipping point where it would be like, wow, we've got so many rocks. We're going to pick as well. I kind of hope not, because I just have no desire to go rock picking again. I'm keeping the rock picker because it's not like I'm going to get a whole lot of money back, and I've got enough space here in Shellbrook that it's not like it's in my way. It's sitting in the forest there. I'm keeping it well oiled and so forth. It's not rusting or anything, don't worry. Kidding, just a little bit of role playing in Misty Hills, which is not what this series is about, nor what FSN really is about, but okay, so now we're going to have a different challenge in that I think, I'm going to have to take a look. So I'm not going to start planting because I think the planter's going to be in this other field. It is, because I'd have to basically hit the button there. Alright, so I need to run an angle here because the last thing I want to do is plant. Oh boy. Did I? Oh boy, I already did. Oh, I didn't realize I didn't have the planter off. Oh, well, anyway. Alright, I'm going to have to go plow that up later. Yeah, because I don't want to be planting in a field that I don't own, because that's not what we're supposed to be doing. As I sit there and be a fool and do it. But anyway. So, you know what my intent was. I think I proved my point, but obviously less so, because obviously having the planter on the whole time, yes, it obviously would go into the dirt there and do what it did. So, but at this point, I'll at least be cleaner for the remainder. and I'll only have to plow up that one space. So that's another thing I'll have to do, but I can do that kind of at any point once it starts growing or whatever. And again, the old man forgets what he was chatting about. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that was kind of whatever it was I was talking about. I think I was pretty much wrapped up anyway, and if not, sorry. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and step away and get this work done. And as I said, this will either be the end or it'll be the middle, because I don't think I'll put rolling and spraying in together. That's right, I was talking about the rocks coming up, but yeah, eventually I might have to rock pick. That's all it was. So yes, I might have to do that and so forth. But anyway, but yeah, I'm not gonna put 3 jobs together and shorten things up substantially. So whatever it is, I'll see you in a bit.